Hello, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Welcome to yet another episode of 20 Minutes Event Profs Marketing Live with myself, Sabrina Myers from Hot Hospitality Exchange, and my partner in digital marketing crime, Jason Greenman from Acomo. Hello, Jason. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. A bit tired today. Had a rough night with the
Yeah.
kids, but got three coffees. We're ready to go. Let's do this.
Awesome. So, everyone, thank you for joining us in these 20 minutes. I've got the timer on here so I can keep track of that and tell everyone when that 20 minutes is up. But in these 20 minutes today, we thought we would be doing something very exciting and interesting, and that both of us are geeking out on because it was dropped last week. Now, what we are going to be doing is we are going to be sharing key takeaways and insights and discussing the Digital 2021 Global Overview Report. Yes, there is such a thing. Yes, it is already published. Yes, it's 300 slides long, but it is packed to the brim full of just phenomenal insights about the whole digital world and all the trends and everything you need to know when it comes to marketing, content, and what you should be doing. Some interesting facts and figures for sure. Now, a little bit about the Digital 2021 Global Overview Report. It is created by an agency, a global creative digital agency called We Are Social. They have offices all across the world. They work with incredible clients from very, very well-known brands to smaller ones as well, and as well as in collaboration with Hootsuite, who we know is a brilliant digital marketing tool, scheduler, and all of that good stuff. So this is a report that's created by them and also a bunch of other partners that provide the data. Now, this is hugely based on the data that they've been gathering since January 2020 until January 2021. Now, many of the key themes to look out for in this year's report include changes in how people search for information and brands, the evolving demographics of online audience, the rapidly growing importance of e-commerce, why mobile is essential but not the only answer, and why it's time to change the metrics that guide marketing social media mix. And I love all of that, so I'm super excited to get really stuck into it. So what we're going to do today and what Jason's going to now do is we're going to bring up a screen and we're going to share some of the main slides that were coming, that I guess spoke to us, that we wanted to share and discuss further. So it's a bunch of slides. We would love to hear from you, your comments, your questions, anything that you want to say and give us feedback. Please do drop it into the comments and we will, hopefully be able to answer any questions that you might have, or at least give our viewpoints on it. So, Jason, I'm going to bring the slide up and let's go. Let's get stuck in.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So, I mean, I think just to get a quick overview, kind of macro, what this report has done is it just reinforces what Sabrina and I have been hammering on for the last, what has it been, 8 weeks of the 20-minute Event Prof Marketing Live.
Absolutely.
This is where people are. You cannot deny the fact that everybody is online. Everybody, your audience is online, and you need to be there. So I think the thing to focus on is we're just going to basically be justifying why we're hammering this so much. So let's start with the just the big picture. Out of the almost 8 billion people in the world, over 5 billion, or kind of 66.6%, are mobile phone users. That's insane. There's so many people with mobile phones now. Internet users are nearly 5 billion, and social media users represent over 50% of the human population.
That's pretty insane.
That's so many people. Everybody is on social media, and there's no denying it anymore. These numbers really hammer that home. And on top of that, these numbers are not decreasing. If we go on to the next the next slide, Over here, the annual change in the number of global social media users has gone up by 13%. That's only an extra 500 million people
Just 500 million.
on
Just
social
500.
media,
Yeah.
which is crazy. I mean, the if we don't know how to say this any louder, but if you are not focusing and some part of your marketing strategy is not digital, and some part of your digital marketing strategy is not social, then you're just missing out on a huge opportunity. Everybody is here and it's growing. It's a segment that's growing, and you need to be there and start focusing on this. As you've seen in previous talks that we've had, it's not hard to get started. But the most important thing is to work on your visibility and get on there, because this is where the eyeballs are and this is where the attention is. And this number over here too, 98.8% of mobile phone users are on social media. So anybody with a mobile is on social media. There's no excuse. There's no excuse
There's
to
no
not
truth.
be
And
reaching
just on
people.
this point, actually, Jason, I wanted to just bring this up because I think this is a really interesting statistic, because it is also from a development point of view. If you have a blog, or you've got a website, or you want to create a website, or anything that has a digital home on the internet, you need to optimize it for mobile. This is what this is telling you.
Yep.
There is such a thing. There is a way to do that. A lot of the website development tools and programs that are out there allow you to hit a button that says optimize for mobile. And what that means is that whoever is visiting your website or your blog or whatever it is that you're doing online, that they're visiting, it's optimized for the screen of someone's mobile phone, and it doesn't look all weird, and that it flows really nicely. And so that 98.8% will be able to see your website and your online presence very well. So you don't miss out on doing that and missing out that opportunity.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Sabrina. I mean, from our business's standpoint, Acomo, we track the analytics, and I mean, we are B2B. Our customer, I usually assume, well, in normal times, is sat at a desk. They're in an office in normal times. So we were under the assumption that we were optimizing for desktop. People are going to be checking in from their laptops and this. And I mean, a few years ago, we realized that over 60% of people going to Acomo.com and AcomoPlus.com now, they're on mobile.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, so you need to be not only optimizing it, but what I would call a mobile first strategy. Like think about the mobile first when you're designing these things, because most people are going to be going and checking out your digital assets on the mobile. So it's a great point, and one that as you're designing, as you're creating your content, check the mobile first. We tend to do these things on a desktop when we're creating websites and things, and that's okay. But make sure you're designing it for mobile.
Exactly. And you know why? The data backs it up.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to so we've talked about how many people are doing it.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about how much time people are spending on these things. So in 2015, the average user was spending nearly 2 hours. And in the last 5 years, that's gone up to almost 2.5 hours per day on social media. So if you're a marketer, your intention is to get the attention of your customers, of your audience. Well, if they're spending 2.5 hours a day on social media, it's a no-brainer. You got to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
And as you can see from the graph, it's wait, do I do that right? There we go. Yeah, that way. Yeah, again. So let's see. This is just a breakdown by country, which if anybody sees their country here, it's very interesting. If you're targeting a specific demographic or a specific country, you can see how much time people in your country are spending on social media. Worldwide, that average is right in the middle at the 2 hours and 25 minutes. Looks like Japan is only spending about 51 minutes a day. So they may not have the same screen addiction that we do.
And I think this is a great slide actually to give a more specific insight and example. So for example, if you're a hotel here in Germany, and one of your target markets is the UK market, the US market, and say the Asian market, then this allows you to see how much time you should be actually allocating to your social media presence and content, because it might be that that specific country is very, very online, and that's where they spend a lot of their time. So it's worth the money investing in your social media, in your website, to make it more engaging, to make it more interactive, and to make it mobile first. So that's definitely important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about how people are spending this time a little bit deeper, right? So again, people are actually, so we talked about how often they're on social media, 2 hours and 25 minutes. Now people are on their mobile devices over 4 hours a day on average. I don't know if you get your on the iPhone or the Android, what's it called?
Yeah, you get that notification, don't you? Like, your time has gone up by 18.1%, and you're like,
it's scary. So when you think that you have been on your phone for 4 hours per day, it's an insane amount of time. And of that time, people are spending 44% of that. So the most time are spent on social and communication apps. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, YouTube. Actually, YouTube will fall into the next category. Sorry. 26% are going to be video and entertainment, 9% gaming, and then 21% are other types of apps. But I mean, 44% of the 4 hours is being spent on social media.
Exactly. So that is the power of social. And, we have this whole discussion on how do we get more people coming to our events? How do we get our community engaged before our events? How do we get people, how do we drive traffic and all of that? Invest in social media, people. Spend time on the strategy, spend time on the content, because look at this, 44% are spent in social and communication apps like Instagram, like Twitter, like TikTok, all of that. So super, super important insight here.
All right. So the numbers just keep growing. So now we're going to move on to how much time people spend on the internet every day. And that is nearly 7 hours a day on average of people on the internet. I mean, most people don't even sleep 7 hours a day.
It's true. I know you didn't last night.
Exactly. I would happily change my internet time for a few hours more sleep. But so that, I mean, that's insane. That's so much time being spent on the internet. And then if we kind of go through how that's being spent, right? So 3.5 hours on streaming and broadcasts. So, I mean, this is a stream. Netflix is a stream. YouTube is a stream. Watching television, all that is streaming. 3.5 hours a day, people are watching videos and streaming things online. That's so much time. So you think, if your audience is on average 3.5 hours a day, how can I tap into that, right?
Yeah.
Then 2.5 hours almost on social media. Again, how can I tap into those 2.5 hours? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get attention. You need to bring value, so that attention comes to you out of this block of 7 hours that they're online. They're spending some of that with you. And then sadly, only about 2 hours are spent reading anymore.
I think that is sad. That is sad. And, it is only an hour and a half spent listening to music. And it's even actually less listening to podcasts. I find that quite a surprising statistic.
I was really surprised by that.
Right? I was really surprised by that. But I also think this just goes to show that podcasts are very, very popular in specific markets at the moment. It is not a global phenomenon yet. People are still getting used to the idea of podcasts, of hearing, the US, for example, is very, very advanced in the podcast market. It is huge there. Europe is still kind of getting there. It's not like one of those humongous explosions. And UK as well. Everyone is on this side of the pond getting onto the podcast wagon. And in Asia or in Scandinavia, it can also be very, very different. So it's interesting to see that specific piece of data. But also what me and Jason were saying was that, we've seen now that the data backs it up, that we are spending a significant amount of our day online. And whilst a lot of us have to, because we are on our computers working, and we are on the internet, this also breaks it down in terms of the activities that we are taking up. And so if you are wondering what you can do to, I guess, detox and reduce that time, then you want to spend a little bit more of that time doing things that aren't in these specific categories. Do more time actually reading a book, more time unplugging and doing stuff, because if that's how you want to get that balance, then this kind of shows you where the human race in general right now are spending their time digitally and online, and where you want to make a change is quite obvious. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a good kind of like parentheses to take in this whole thing is, let's not forget about mental health and wellness right now, because I would venture that there is a negative relationship towards screen time and positive mental health. And so I think it's also, I mean, we're coming at this from a marketer's point of view. So we're looking, okay, look at this opportunity. There's so many people. They're spending so much time. You have so much opportunity to get attention. So from a marketing opportunity, like, absolutely. But let's not forget about, like Sabrina's brought up, the mental health side, which is also use these numbers to reflect on how you're using your screen time. Because there's certainly 100% are positive ways to use the screen time, and ones that are kind of detrimental to either your productivity, your well-being, your mental health. I mean, I personally look at my screen time every week when I get the notification, and if I see that there's an app or something in there that I may not have realized I was spending so much time on that. For example, last year, TikTok, I looked at my TikTok numbers and I was like, I got to quit that. I got to quit that. Like, some people are having the same issue with Clubhouse at the moment. Clubhouse is hot. Everybody loves Clubhouse, or at least they're saying they love Clubhouse. But I'm also starting to hear people saying, like, wow, it's really using up a lot of my time. So use these numbers to analyze how you're using your screen time as well. I think it's a good time to take a reflection, be like, holy, like 7 hours, really? Okay, let me make sure that those 7 hours are used well.
And also, if you do want to have 10 simple hacks on how you can actually manage your social media usage so that it doesn't impact your mental health, then I did write an article last week for Event Well Mental Health Day, which is on LinkedIn on my profile. So be sure to hit that, because I've broken down 10 ways that you can do that. Because hey, I live in the space of social media. I need to be able to manage it for my mental health, and there are tips and tricks that you can put into place in order to help you do that, so that social media, as we've seen with the data, doesn't take over your life, but that you are actually using it purposefully and with intent, as opposed to just being completely swallowed up by it all.
Totally. Well, that's a good. I think that's a good. Are you in control of social media, or is social media controlling you, right? And I think you need to take control, because we have the tools to. So
absolutely.
Definitely check out that article by Sabrina, because there's some really good tips on how to work on your mental health for when it comes to social media. Getting back, so just like a quick pause on the podcast too. I'm really curious to know, because there's been an explosion of podcasts in the events world. I'm really curious, anybody's listening, how many people are still interested in creating their own podcasts? Because
that would be a very good question. Yeah,
it's still an hour a day. Like here, it's the smallest segment of how people are spending time with their media. But an hour out of 7 is still what, 15%, 14%.
Yeah, still very valid.
Exactly. So I'd be curious if you are interested in starting your own podcast. Leave a comment in the I'm tired, Sabrina. I'm doing my best.
Okay. Well, we've got, Juliet Tripp. Hey, Juliet. Juliet said, hey, Sabrina and Jason, thank you for sharing these insights. You're very, very welcome. Juliet, of course, did also launch her own podcast this, I think it was last month, actually, called Like an Event Boss. And it's a great industry podcast.
Really nice.
If you want to level up, everything and anything on the events industry, and you're learning from two very fabulous event professionals whilst you're at it. So definitely check that out. And I know that, we did have this discussion about, should I do it? It's I know it's another podcast, but you know what? Abundance mindset. If
Yeah.
you are planning to do it, do it. If you think you're filling a gap, if you think that there's a hole, if you think that there's a specific niche that your podcast is going to cover, then do it. I mean,
Yep.
I definitely tell everyone, because it's the same question about social media. Should I even bother opening up an Instagram account now? Should I even bother starting a YouTube channel? Should I even bother starting a blog? There's so many people. But again, what people are not realizing is, well, it's not about if you should. If you are able to add value, and you're able to have a purpose for it, and you have an intent for it, then go ahead and do it, because it's better that you do it and then never ever having tried. And what you're doing could actually add serious value to someone's life, and whoever is reading, or you might touch someone along the way. It's brilliant. So never ever shy away from that. That's what I would say, Jason, if that was a question posed to me.
Totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually working on a piece of content right now that is specifically about podcasts, because I think there's this mental block. There's two blocks, right? You've got I don't like the sound of my own voice. I don't like to put myself out there. That's one. We can work on that. But then the other one is people think it's complicated. People think this setting of a podcast is like this production, but it's really not. And I want to show people that you can set up a podcast in probably half an hour. I'm going to try to do a piece of content, which is how to set up an events podcast in less than 30 minutes, because you can do that. And podcasting, I think it's a great place to start, and is very easy to do. So
absolutely. I'm just going to share this comment from Juliet saying, yes, I recommend everyone to find their niche or unique superpower and then just go for it.
Yeah.
This is a woman after my own heart. Yes.
Totally.
Find your unique superpower. Just go for it. So those are very, very great words from Juliet Tripp.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 minutes left. So we're gonna go through these slides as fast as we can, but not really. I mean, we want to give these slides the time. So if we go over a few minutes, we're good, aren't we, Jason?
I agree. Let's take our time, and if people are enjoying this, we can even split it into a two-part, because after all, there's 300 slides, right? So. And we've only done like 8. So, all right. So why are people using the internet? This is really, really, really important, because the number one reason is for finding information. Now, finding information is pretty wide open, but I think from a content creator perspective, that should be at the top of your mind, right? So why am I creating this piece of content? Because somebody's going to look for it, right? They're looking for information. Obviously, staying in touch with friends and family, that's an obvious one. News and events, researching how to do things is really interesting. Watching videos, TV shows, finding new ideas and inspiration. I mean, really, you can go through these, and you can use some of these to kind of drive some of your content decisions. Make sure that, like, all right, this post, I'm posting this because it's going to help somebody find information. I'm going to post this because it's going to help somebody figure out how to do this, right? I think this is really fascinating, and I mean, most people are doing that. They're looking for information on the internet.
Absolutely. And I think to the point of this specific slide, especially when it comes to do with social media, a lot of the content that is growing, and you're seeing a lot of content creators actually create how-to content, because, and I'll tell you why. It's because, A, they're giving you value by showing you how to do something. And B, it makes you take a specific action based on what they're doing. So when you take that specific action, you internalize the content yourself. You make it your own. And that's a very, very powerful thing when it comes to social media content. And if that should be definitely one of the top things that you have to keep in mind when you're creating content is, how can someone use what I'm putting out there, and how can they make it their own? Because that is the number one thing that will get you that growth, will get you people wanting to follow you, and would get people, resonating with your content. So this is definitely a really great statistic.
That's a great point. And I mean, on that as well, because kind of flip side of this is if everybody's online, if everybody's on social, if everybody's on their mobiles, I mean, there's going to be a flood of information moving there. If the people are there, there's going to be tons of people creating information for that section. So what you're creating too needs to stand out. It needs to provide value. People are already spending a ton of time on social networks, on YouTube, wherever it is, and you need to make sure that what you're providing has some value, because otherwise it's like it's on to the next, it's on to the next, it's on to the next.
Exactly. So I guess we have to make a decision of do we break this into a 2-part series? Should we continue this next week? What do you think? Should we end with a slide? What's the next slide? Let's end with a slide.
All right.
Let's see what the next one is. And then what we can do is we can pull more super interesting slides from this report and then present part 2 next week. I think that'll be super exciting. And it'll also kind of give us that time to spend on each of these, slides, which are super important.
There's
online search behavior. I love it.
There's a lot to digest here. Yeah, that sounds good. And I mean, we promised these would be 20 minutes, so I guess we got to stick to the brand, right? Exactly. Finally, cool. So this one is really interesting too. This is about the search behavior. So if I think it was 60%, 63% are finding information that's related to search. Now, 98% of people are still using Google.com. Probably a few people are using Bing. I don't know if anybody still does. There might be 1 or 2 people using Yahoo.com.
Firefox probably is one
Mozilla.
of them.
So the traditional search engine is still the primary source, but, and this is fascinating, is that, oh wait, it's not this slide. All right, sorry. Yes, it is here. Search for brand information on social media, right?
Exactly.
I mean, what we're seeing is that when people are looking for information, they're not just doing Google anymore. They're starting to go into Instagram, to Facebook, to Twitter, and they're typing in search terms to find information about what they want. So again, it's another reason why social is so powerful, because it's not just a place to connect, to network, to share ideas, but it's also a place to go and find information that you're looking for. It's becoming a massive search engine. I think YouTube, for example, YouTube is the second ranked search engine in the world after Google.com.
And I believe that. I search for everything on YouTube.
You can do it.
There's a video on how to do whatever you want to do, or go wherever you want to go on YouTube. It is phenomenal. And I believe that. Yeah. I believe that's what you say.
So again, as a marketer, as not even a marketer, just as somebody that is on socials and wants to create attention, I mean, understand that your content will be showing up not just on Google anymore, but it's going to be showing up when people search on your social network. Almost 50% of people are searching on social media. It's
that's mind-boggling, and that's a lot, and I think that's a wonderful place to or point to leave you with, that it's no longer just a space for you to put information, but it's a space for you to specifically put information that you want to be found by. So there's different kinds of content, right? So there's content about you and what you're doing and all that kind of stuff, and your brand or your business. But then there's also content that you want people to, with intent and purpose, go on Google going, what is the best hotel in London? Or what is, I'm looking for an event management agency, Barcelona, right? So you need to figure out how people are searching. And especially, how are people searching on social media? What are the keywords that they're using? What are the words that they're going to be typing into the search bar in order for your account, and your product, and your service to be found? Because 44.8% of humans who are online, who are on social media, are looking for you on social media. So that is pretty amazing. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We went a little bit over our 20 minutes, but I think it was for good reason. This is an incredible report. If you guys are interested, if any of you are interested in looking at this report for yourself, the link is actually in this post, so you can hit that link, or you can Google I love that. You can Google We Are Social. And We Are Social actually published this report every single year. They've been doing it for over 10 years now, actually. And, it's all information and facts that are based on data and not just European or UK or American data. It is global data. And it really gives you a great overview of the state of the world on digital. And it's an extremely powerful resource if you're looking to channel your efforts and know where you want to tweak and what you want to do on your social media and online digital marketing channels. So if you have any questions at all, please do drop them in the comments. If you want to give your feedback, please do that as well. Myself and Jason today have a little bit of a switch up. We are actually going to be going to Clubhouse, but not right after this. We're actually going to be on Clubhouse at 1:30 Central European time. We're going to be infusing our 20-minute Event Profs marketing into the Event Profs Exchange for Wednesdays. We thought it would be two birds, one stone. Absolutely brilliant. We can rope it in. So Jason is going to be joining me as moderator today at Event Profs Exchange, where we were doing Wednesday welcomes and wins. We'll continue to do welcomes and wins and welcome everyone into this space and celebrate wins. But also going to have a focus on discussing all of this great stuff that we've delved into here on the 20-minute Event Profs marketing. So if you're on Clubhouse and you're free at 1:30 Central European time, 12:30 British Standard Time, please do be sure to join us in there. I will start the room. Jason will be there with me, and we will continue this conversation. And please come on stage and share how your mind was blown by what we shared. Because my mind is blown every time I read this report. It's brilliant, and I love it. And we geek out. And if you want to geek out with us, come on stage and geek out with us. So yeah, Jason, any last words to add to the crew?
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I think the two takeaways is number one, the party's on socials, the party's digital. So make sure you show up to the party. And number two, take care of your mind. This stuff is also addictive. So track your time and make sure you're using your online time effectively and in a way that's going to help you mentally too. So those are kind of my two takeaways. Big picture. Yeah, that's it.
Fantastic. Now join us next week. We'll be back same time, same place here on LinkedIn, going live. It also streams to my Facebook page as well as my YouTube channel when we do the stream, as well as to Acomo's YouTube channel as well. We just work that out, don't we? Week to week. But yeah, do join us back here next week where we're going to continue part 2, and we're going to fill you in on which animal is ruling the online space. You want to be back for that, for sure.
Take some bets.
I can tell you it's not guinea pigs.
Nah.
But yeah, so stay tuned. Have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see you in Clubhouse later if you're going to join us. And if not, we'll see you next week. And if you're watching this as a replay, thank you so much for investing the time. We hope that you found it useful and interesting. And if you want a copy of the report and you want to check it out, it's available on We Are Social's event I guess Creative Agency's website, and the link is already in the post. So take care, everyone. Have a great Wednesday, and bye.
Bye. See you later.